The CFL Gambling Podcast Week 10 reaction show episode. The Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to claim your first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. Of course, they got CFL action, folks. Jump on over there, underdogfantasy.com, promo code TCE SGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm's college football and NFL projections are now live. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, to let it ride.
Hey, this is Derek Stevens. I'm the owner of Circa Las Vegas. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Welcome to the CFL Gambling Podcast Week 10 reaction show. I know it's a day later, but I needed a day. I needed a day to sit and think about everything. All right, folks, youtube.com, type in CFL Gambling Podcast and you get our mugs. All right. So hop on over there, do that. And, just another exciting week of CFL action. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
He's the kind of guy that would drink a gallon of gasoline so he could piss in your campfire. You could drop this guy off at the Arctic Circle wearing a pair of bikini underwear without his toothbrush, and tomorrow afternoon he's going to show up at your poolside with $1 million smile and a fistful of pesos.
Fistful of pesos is correct. My huge tits parlay cashed. We brought it home. All right. Shop to your drop customers. Let's go. There is a blue light special on the CFL Gambling Podcast. I am joined by my co-host. He might need to be called the DFS God and remove that title from NC Nick. Give it up for the host of the UFL Gambling Podcast. He's also the host of the Old Fashioned Football Podcast, which you should be subscribed to. Give it up for Justin Mark, aka No Turn J Mark. How are you, pal?
Doing fantastic. Yeah, I mean, third place in the CFL contest with a quarterback that only put up under 3 points before he exited with injury. So
how does that happen?
That did kind of sting. I mean, if you had said, how can you not consider Trey Ford or Davis Alexander? Had I put Davis Alexander in there, would have cashed the first place. But I noticed something. I know people didn't want to, maybe they tailed your huge tits parlay. Maybe they didn't. I know it costs a lot to get our picks. Oh, wait, no, it's free. Never mind. And it costs a lot to get our DF. No, that's free too. DFS is free. Nobody tailed, including yourself. Shame on you guys. I guess it's more cash for me. But
if I'm being honest, I normally turn in two of my own DFS lineups. I was a little occupied with life with the newborn. I only got one in, and that was the one with Trey Ford, not the one with Davis Alexander. And I was kicking myself even before Montreal played. I said, "Damn it! I forgot to get my lineup in with Alexander." So, yeah, but that's impressive considering you had 3 points from a quarterback to be in top 5.
And Pimpleton also was in and out of the game. He only put up 4. So, yeah, the rest of the lineup was obviously fire to get me into third place.
I think it was just a crazy week too for, because you don't normally see that happen in DFS where you have 3 points from a quarterback and you end up top 5.
Yeah, usually you got to hit on pretty much every single player.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went on this weekend, but we had some news just happen right now.
Yeah.
a bit of a legend here. Nathan Rourke. Nathan Rourke is a BC Lion. Signs with the BC Lions now. This is a risky play to me. Like obviously he's a stud. Vernon Adams, if we had to deem MVP of the league right now, I think it'd be Vernon Adams because Fajardo's been injured longer, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is this telling your star quarterback in a way? I mean, this is like I understand he's from Vancouver or BC, but and I know he's a fan favorite, but I'm out on BC, dude. Like that, it's a head scratcher for continuity. For Vernon Adams believing that's his team, that's a head scratcher. They've looked like shit lately. And as much as I think maybe for the long term, getting Rourke there because he's still young in his career, that makes sense there. But I don't know, man. For the future of this season, that's a risky move. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I saw that. I thought after he didn't get picked up in the NFL, after he got cut, he cleared waivers. I thought he'd find his way back to the CFL. I did not think it would be to BC. The only way this works is if the organization and coaching staff has had a conversation with Vernon Adams saying, hey, you're our starter, man, but we need the depth. And we know Nathan Rourke knows this offense well, so we need a depth piece behind you. And they've had a conversation.
Dude, the crowd is gonna want him in the game.
Yeah, if Vernon Adams struggles, absolutely. The other thing I wonder, Adams didn't practice all last week. We knew he wasn't going to start anyways, but he didn't practice all last week because of an injury. Maybe there's more to that. Maybe he is more banged up than we know, and they're worried that he's going to be out for more than a game or two. So that's something to keep an eye on too. I mean, if he's out, Rourke knows this offense. He could step right back in it, I think.
Still long term, and I guess you live for today. And the Grey Cup is in Vancouver, so maybe that's the angle. But we'll see. I think that's a fascinating storyline we're going to be able to see there. Sure. Also, Drew Brown out for Ottawa. Jeremiah Masoli, the vet, the ageless wonder. I know my guy June Jones will be happy about seeing Jeremiah play. That's that could have a big impact on the playoff race in the East. But folks, I want to talk. We're going to recap every single game. But I'd like to tell you first, you're listening to the CFL Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and you should check out the Sports Gambling Podcast. They launched their 32-team NFL preview, and no matter how silly the NFL kickoff is and stupid it is, there's still money to be made in the NFL, and they're giving out a $500 circa future bet for the listeners there. So hop on over there and check out all 32 team previews. Plus the EPL returns. Make sure to check out the Soccer Gambling Podcast and the EPL Gambling Podcast for your footy fix. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast and the SGPN app, which is free to download in the App Store and Google Play Store. All right, let's get to this action because I'm just going to start from the top. There was a game that happened this past week that I think might have been the worst game since the Tuck rule, which is the Tom Brady fumble, where you felt like it was a good game prior to that. It was a very fun game. And I just am ashamed of the league in a way. I thought it made me not want to watch the rest of the weekend. When you try to play God with your fucking stupid CFL command center on a play where a guy gets cut blocked, where he has no control over where he's going to land or no control what's going to happen, and then to dictate the outcome of the game because of that bullshit, I honestly think the league should fire the person that made that call in the command center. And I think fans should be given their money back. And my huge sits parlay would have made more money had this not, I had him as a live dog, but even that aside, this was bad for football, bad for the sport of football. And the CFL, that's all on you and your stupid command center. This game was ridiculous. First off, you should never have ties. Can we get rid of ties? There should never be a tie. If you go to an event, you want to see a winner and a loser. This is some 1910 bullshit here. You got to change. All right. I was so disgusted with this game, dude. I got to be honest. I had a hard time getting back into the CFL this weekend because I was just sitting there saying, that is criminal what they're doing to the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Corey Mace should body slam the fucking CFL Command Center president or whoever's the manager over there because they ruined this game. You don't often see 100% refs ruin a game. Like you could say, oh, you know, we got that was a fumble, you know, the here or there, bad call. But this one actually ruined the game. It ruined the game. Your thoughts on Saskatchewan, Ottawa? Geez, I can't talk.
Yeah, I mean, I thought both those calls were bad. I thought the pass interference call on Ottawa was bad too. That was on Saskatchewan's third down conversion, where in overtime they would have lost. I realize he got there maybe a second early.
I think you're breaking up a little bit there. I don't know. State that again one more time. Sorry.
I just think that pass interference on Saskatchewan third down was bad. I didn't think that should have been called beforehand. And I agree with you. The roughing the passer shouldn't have been called either. They slowed down that pass interference, and I get it. He got there maybe a millisecond early, but it was a football play. It was a football play.
Still ridiculous.
And same with the roughing the passer. I mean, I think I sent you a text kind of joking about it. They want these guys to like train with David Blaine to learn how to levitate. Like, what are they supposed to do when gravity is a thing? Like, you can't stop gravity. And it's not like he intentionally hit the quarterback late or anything like that. There's no place for that call either. I had a love-hate relationship with Dustin Crum this whole game. I think I was texting you, Crum sucks. Okay, he's all right there. Now he sucks. I mean, it was a back and forth game. I liked the game until both those calls. Those calls did ruin it.
I believe we lost him. I know we're having some technical difficulties here. Sorry on that front. I think a lot of it had to do with we had an earthquake here in California, maybe perhaps over over the past 24 hours, or maybe you never know with no turn J Mark. Maybe there's a tornado, something like that. But I know we missed a lot of. I think the audience missed a lot of what you were saying, man. Like I know we talked about the pass interference, or you talked about the pass interference, which I agree. Stop playing God. That thing is too damn close. But at the same time, like that one, I'm like, okay. The roughing the passer to me is the worst call in the history of the sport. Yeah. Or at least since the Tuck rule. Like, I actually believe like everyone should be investigated because like it just makes no sense. Like, how can you come to that opinion and dictate the outcome of the game? You clearly did that. Absolutely pathetic in my opinion. Like that's not even with money behind it. I would have said that had that gone the other way, because it's like, what are you supposed to do? We've really taken football to this stupid part of like, I just want the game to be the game. You know what I mean? Like, okay, injuries happen. Injuries happen if you do nothing in life. All right. If you do absolutely nothing in your life, then you have ruined your life and you didn't take that chance and you were injured within because you didn't go out and live it. Right. And I just think that to dictate the outcome of a game because of that bullshit, that should not even be a rule. That should not even be like the cojones to actually call that and say, we're going to basically ruin this game. Cause that's what you did. You took like what was probably the best game of the whole weekend. Mm-hmm. And you ruined it. You took a blowtorch to the whole viewing experience. Yeah, it was absolutely horrible. Yeah,
I agree. And I think they need to, I agree with you. Get rid of the ties, do another overtime. Whatever
Yeah.
you need to do, get rid of the ties.
It was absolutely pathetic, and I just thought you took the best game, maybe one of the better games of the season, and you ruined it. And it made me not want to watch on Friday. It really did. Like, I'm not bullshitting you. It made me not want to watch the league on Friday. So, what are you doing for your product? You're turning people off of your product. Anyway, besides that, this game was this was a wild ass game before that, man.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You took like the maybe the craziest game of the season. I think you can put it in contention with the craziest game of the season, and you sprinkled bullshit on top of it. It's a bummer. I think, and I guess for both teams though, the tie might actually help them. Saskatchewan's in first place right now because of the tie. So like, I mean, I don't even know what to make of it. I just don't understand why the NFL or CFL hangs on the ties. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Colby, that was kind of poetic. This could have been the best game of the season, and you sprinkled bullshit on it. I mean, that's
yeah. I mean, that's what they did. That's what I'm saying. There we go. Who's listening? Clip this. Folks, I want to tell you the CFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. If you go 8-0, you can win 325 times your entry, or play fantasy football the right way with Best Ball. Yes, Best Ball Mania is live with $15 million in prizes, and Underdog just launched their season-long college football projections, higher or lower for your favorite college football players' season-long stats. You can now use specials and boost on all flexed entries. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with the promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. They have CFL action, folks. So many times you hear, oh, I can't gamble. No, you have opportunity here. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. All right. I'm still like disgusted about that game, dude. Like, so many things, like just a bad taste in your mouth. That's just a bad, like, I don't know. Like I could give a seminar on this cockanimi game here. Let's go to game 2 where it won't bother me as much. And by the way, this is my first week undefeated, ATS 4-0 ATS. Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Calgary at Toronto. Don't ignore the Winnipeg thing there. The Argos 39, Stampeders 25. I tried to tell you, buddy, that Calgary can't win on the road. All right. And they might have put up almost 500 yards of offense, but they still lost by double digits. 4 turnovers to 2 is killer. I know Dave Dickinson was pissed off, but I'll be honest. I didn't watch that much of this game because of how bad I felt the day before. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like, going on a first date and you find out she's just a total bitch, and she texts you, what are you up to tomorrow? You just don't answer that one. You know what I mean? That's the way I felt after that outcome in the first game. Tell me about this game and your thoughts regarding this one. It's pretty remarkable when you look at the stats that the Argos won the game, but they won the game by a large amount, and they did dictate. I did watch like some of the second half, but tell me about your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, I mean, the Argonauts relied on what they are good at, and that's good defense and running the ball. They still can't pass the ball very well. I mean, Nick Arbuckle looked all right, but it still was kind of slow processing and whatnot. I don't know if Calgary should have lost this game with as many yards and how easy it looked like they were moving the ball at times. But the Argonauts just had a better game plan, especially on defense. And that defense clamped down when it needed to. Shout out to Kadeem Carey. I think we both had him in our DFS. He had 89 yards and a touchdown, added some pass catching as well there. So that was a good value. And yeah, I don't know. Toronto, they're good at home. Same with Calgary. These teams are kind of the same. They're both good at home. They're kind of head scratchers on the road. You never know what you're going to get. But I do think Toronto is better on defense.
Definitely. And that's something to talk about now. I mean, this season is becoming quite wacky with the Chad Kelly is probably going to return, we think, right? I know he tweeted out something.
So he's passed his 9 weeks of classes and now an independent evaluator, I guess, is going to look over everything and deem whether he's ready to come back and if he really is a changed person.
Rehabilitated. All right. Rehabilitated. Also the over smashed in this game. I was on Toronto. I think I took the over in this game too. Did I? I can't remember.
You did.
Okay. The playoff race is quite hilarious. Calgary is going to need to win a road game at some point if they want to be taking this seriously, but they're still right in the mix, man. Every team is really, even the Eskimos are in the mix still, besides Hamilton. I think Hamilton's the one you can just say, but it makes for a fascinating, end of the CFL season as long as they don't fuck it up with their command center. The Argos, if they get Chad Kelly, you got to like that. It's worth sprinkling a future right now too. Channing, we already did talk about Rourke to the Lions. I don't know that's. In theory, it's a good thing. I think it also could be a dangerous thing for this season's BC Lion team. Go in the beginning. We addressed it in the beginning. I think you're playing with a little bit of fire there. Let's see if Campbell can make it all work. But anyway, I hit here. Follow me to the victory lane. And by the way, my huge tits parlay. Well, we'll get to that at the end. Let's jump to Montreal. I couldn't believe you had the courage to take this Hamilton Ticat team that is just heartless, spineless. Like I told you, I would have already canned everybody. Like when I watch this team, and that's why I'm glad this hit, even though they were severely outgained, or not severely, but 50 yards outgained pretty much. They're a pussy team, dude. We know what's going to happen here. They're going to get down. They'll come back with some yardage, try to fluff up the stat sheet, but really they're just a complete pussy team. And Montreal will kick the shit out of them. So that's what happened. Laid the 8, cashed, took the over 49.5, cashed. Your thoughts on? I couldn't believe you went with the ultimate pussy team here. Your thoughts?
They almost garbage timed into this, which is what I thought they were going to do. I thought they were going to garbage time into covering. It was close. I got it at 8.5, so I was 1.5 off. But yeah, no excuses. I'm starting to wonder, when Fajardo's healthy, do you mess with the mojo that Davis Alexander has created?
He does have some BDE going there.
Yeah, he has looked like just fire. He's got some spark to that team, and not that Fajardo was doing bad by any means. Fajardo was also doing very well, obviously, but it's hard to mess with the rhythm. I feel like now that the guys are in the rhythm with Alexander. I hate guys losing jobs due to injury. That's just going to be interesting to see how that plays out. I assume he'll be healthy within the next week or two.
He won you the Grey Cup last year. It's good. Yeah. It's just like the old Montana Young debate. When Montana got injured by the Giants back in the 90s, you're sitting there saying, we have this awesome guy who's playing great as a backup, and they decided with the backup, they decided with the future. But Fajardo's not that old. You know what I mean? Like a little bit long on the tooth, but not, I don't know, man. It is, you're right though. There is something that you got to think about. Shout out to Andre T in the chat. Alouettes, baby. Let's go. They are hands down. And I know we got to get to our power rankings, but at some point, they're just super impressive, man. They're super, super impressive. And I think, week in, week out, they're just clearly way above anyone in the league. Doesn't mean you'll win it all. We thought Winnipeg was the team last year to do that, and look what happened to the Bombers. So big time win there. And we hit on that. And then the Eskimos take down the BC Lions. My DFS lineup was cooked when Trey Ford got injured. And
that's not an excuse. My quarterback got injured too.
Well, I had a Jew not register. That was great value play. But look, these announcers suck, by the way, for this game. I can't tell you how bothered I was at them being like, this is the problem with Trey Ford. He ran and he got injured. And I'm like, this is football, you fucking losers. All right. It was not even like a violent hit where he put himself out there like that. It's like, we just have ruined the narrative of the sport in a way of like, you're supposed to try to win, right. Like, oh no, you have to sit back there and just sit back there and pass, protect your body. No, you go try to win. All right. You don't get to where you're at by trying to do that. But BC, the red flags are all over this BC, roster right now and team. They got up first drive of the game, then went down the field. I watched this entire game and went up, and I go, ooh, maybe I'm wrong on this one, but no. Edmonton, Jarius Jackson has ignited this offense. What do they have? 5? What was it last week? 560 yards was it? And then 468 here or 467. Very impressive. The Eskimos get it done, lay the 2, and the over cash too. So your thoughts on the Eskimos? They're alive in the playoff race, and your thoughts on BC moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to what that quarterback situation is going to shake out. If that's going to be too distracting, bringing Rourke back. But yeah, there's been some issues. They ran the ball well. They just couldn't move the ball in the air very well. I mean, Jake Dolegala, he did okay, but not enough to win a game. So maybe that's also why you bring Rourke in, because you say, we can't win with Dolegala. We need somebody different. But I agree with you on Edmonton. I mean, they have lit a fire. This offense is playing well. You don't see often in the CFL a team run with a single runner 21 times, but Javon Leake, 21 carries, 97 yards and a touch. I think he's helped the offense a lot too. It's better when Trey Ford's back there, because then you have to account for both those guys running. So, those guys on the edge, they got to watch for that quarterback, and that leaves a lot of gaps up in the middle. But no, I mean, this team's playing well. They're hitting strides, and I think that they can keep building on that. I thought the defense did all right too. I mean, I know it was against a backup quarterback, but they shut down BC when they needed to. They came up with some big plays. I, like you, when it started and it was 10-1 at the end of the first, I thought, shit, is Edmonton going to Edmonton and BC is going to roll this? But but they turned that around quickly in the second when they scored 18. So yeah, I don't know, this Eskimos team, it's becoming a little fun to watch, isn't it?
It is. The offense is flying the ball, moving the ball around. It might not be fun to watch if McLeod Bethel Thompson's starting next week. Do we know about that injury?
I have not heard how severe Trey's injury is.
That could be a little concerning there, but still, I hate these announcers. He can't do that. What are you talking about, man?
It's a physical sport, and everybody playing it knows it's a physical sport.
I just never would have thought we would have gotten to this point. You know what I mean? Whether it's that call in the first game or like, play the sport, man. Yeah. God, it makes me just put the game on mute. Yeah, the Eskimos are alive and well. If you look at the race right now, let's talk about that for a second. Saskatchewan is in first place in the West, 5-3-1, with BC in second at 5-4, Calgary in third at 4-5, Winnipeg at 3-6, and then the Eskimos at 2-7. But they're all in the mix. I mean, especially now that is Vernon Adams going to be healthy? How fast can Rourke get ready? What's the pace of that locker room, or what's the feel of that locker room? Saskatchewan, obviously, they have their quarterback dilemma. Do you remove Shea Patterson? Was impressive with his final drives. And do they go? Are they going to go back to Trevor Harris? Winnipeg in a way is the one that has looked better over the past couple of weeks. And I almost feel like, are they gonna come back and are they going to be the team to win the cup? I feel like we think they suck, but the past couple of weeks they've shown major signs of life. Same with the Eskimos. Then you look at the East, and obviously Montreal just the clear best team in the league. But after that, Ottawa is 5-2-1. That tie is going to probably help them so much. That bullshit tie that they got. Toronto is sitting there at 5-4. So I mean that I feel like the East is kind of figured out a little bit, whereas as the West is like, who knows. Either way, look, folks. What's that?
Oh, I was just saying, Edmonton plays Hamilton, which I think is a very winnable game this week, and Winnipeg and BC play each other, so one of them is going to lose. So Edmonton's got a chance to get even more into this playoff race.
Yeah, very fascinating stuff. Folks, I want to tell you that the CFL Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Rhythm. Yes, football season is here, and college football and NFL models are now live with Rhythm. Create your own winning betting model. I can't talk, or let Rhythm do the heavy lifting for you. It's up to you. You can decide what stats matter most to you, and Rhythm will build a custom model around that, or just let Rhythm and its predictive model do all the heavy lifting for you. Rhythm uses AI projections from MIT data scientists and quants. Rhythm already has you covered for NFL Week 1 and college football Week 0. I like the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets in Dublin, Ireland, +13. So claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. We're also brought to you by Circa Survivor and Circa Millions. Yes, Circa Sports is back with Circa Survivor and Circa Millions, giving away $16 million in guaranteed prizes. If you haven't been to the Circa in Las Vegas, what the hell are you doing? It's sports heaven. All right. If you don't have a trip booked for Vegas yet before football season, Ultimate Contest Weekend is a great time to go out. You can hang with our pals, Stacking the Money Green and Real Money Kramer, as well as the bet detective CJ Sullivan, the host of the Bottom Line Bombs podcast. And enjoy some of the open bar events at the greatest sports book in the world, August 22nd through August 24th. Also, use the promo code SGP15 to save you 15% off your hotel room that weekend. Sign up in person at Circa Sports between now and September 7th and use a proxy to play from anywhere. We even have a deal with a proxy. Yeah. Go to proxy.footballcontest.com to save you $50 with the promo code SGP. All right. Got to get to power rankings, but I wanted to hit on this. My huge tits parlay. Obviously, I got fucked on the Rough Riders here at +145. That would have hit, should have hit, and may God have mercy on the CFL Command Center. But Argos -1, Eskimos +2, and the over in the Hamilton Montreal game did hit. So had you put the $50 there, you wouldn't have walked away with the $841.44, but you would have walked away with $314 just about. I think it was $313 and like 90 cents or something in my account, just like that. That's why you subscribe to the CFL Gambling Podcast. I know people were in the chat last week saying your picks a bit ass this year. See what happens. See what happens when you go after Pick Dundee. 4-0 ATS and my huge tits parlay cashes. I need this. I'm it's like it's like, certain players do better when there's trash talk at them. If the chat's just stagnant, then I just tend to pick stagnant. You know what I mean? It's like, but you start talking shit to me. That's when I really focus, and I go out there and I conquer.
The main talker was Football Jesus. So talk shit to me this week so that I can get some better picks. Don't talk shit about, I guess talk shit about my DFS, but talk shit about my picks this week so it can rub off on me a little bit.
Yeah. And CFL Command Center, you owe me $500. All right. You owe me $500 fucking dollars. So anyway, Whiskey Wanderers in the chat. DFS win bought you a haircut, J Mark. Is that true?
True? I don't know if it was the DFS win, but getting ready to go to Arizona, needed to get something that was a little bit lighter since the high is going to be 110 every single day.
So Southern Arizona, huh? Well, I guess even Northern Arizona is fucked. All right, you go out. You a golf guy?
Mm-mm.
Not me. Me neither. I don't. You won't catch me golfing, but I feel like that's what people do in Arizona. That or get shit hammered in Tempe or something. I don't know. Check it. One of my favorite stories ever was I was doing stand up and I was opening up for this guy, and we're driving to El Paso, Texas from Los Angeles. And we had some shows scattered around. Like we had some dates in El Paso, one in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And then on the way back, because Las Cruces is only like 30 minutes from El Paso, we had some days in Arizona and San Diego. So this guy was cheating on his girlfriend. And I'm in the car with him. We're driving. And we had gotten done with the El Paso shows, and we're in Las Cruces shows, and we're going to do shows in Arizona. But I guess he hadn't told his wife that he had done shows in Arizona, or I think we had to just sleep in Arizona. I think that's what it was. We didn't have a show in Arizona. We had a show at the La Jolla Comedy Store in San Diego. And so he's like purposely wanting to go to Arizona to meet up with the girl that he knows, right? The girl that he wants to hook up with. And his girlfriend calls him, and it's on speakerphone in the car. She pictures like a BMW driving on the freeway, and his girlfriend's like, and he's like, I have a show in Arizona tonight. And she's like, where? Right? And he's talking out of his ass because we don't have a show in Arizona, right? And he just, it's the first city he thinks of because he knows she's going to Google Phoenix comedy clubs or Scottsdale. So he goes, Tombstone. I'm in Tombstone, Arizona tonight. Right. And she's like, Tombstone, Arizona. First off, she was not familiar with Tombstone, Arizona being a city in Arizona. So had that conversation. I never heard of Tombstone. And you never heard of Tombstone. Have you seen any Western? But then, the fact that he's just talking out of his ass and he says Tombstone, I've never been to Tombstone, Arizona, but I would assume there's one thing I know is the population is people left Tombstone because there was no water. Right. And the population, I believe, is not much. I think it's like literally like 100 people or something. Why would there be a comedy club there? Right. And instantly after he hangs up, after she buys the Tombstone, Arizona play, he's like, I couldn't think of any other city. And I knew she would Google Phoenix comedy clubs. Right. And I'm like, well, dude, Flagstaff or, Williams or like Havasu, you know what I mean? I'm like, Yuma, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot of other bigger cities than Tombstone. I don't know that she's going to buy this. And sure enough, within like 5 minutes, she calls back and it's like, speaking for, it's like, you piece of shit, motherfucker. Right. Like there's no comedy clubs in Tombstone. And to his credit, shout out to, I don't want to throw his name out there, but I'll just say this. He's a smooth talking Puerto Rican. And he was able to convince her that it was a Indian reservation casino, closed doors, private event. So of course you're not going to find it on the internet. And she bought it, as far as I know. You know what I mean? She bought it, but it was one of the better bullshit lies I've ever heard in my life. Tombstone, Arizona, huh? But anyway, what the fuck am I talking about? Let's talk about power rankings. Team 9 is very obvious. If you do not have the Hamilton Ticats at Team 9, I would be shocked, J Mark, but I know you decided to put your hard-earned, no-turn money on Hamilton last week. Tell me you have them at 9.
I do. I apologize for taking them. Bad call. Regardless of, I did think Fajardo might be back and have some rust to shake off. Didn't matter. Hamilton sucks. They're number 9.
Now here's the big question. Who do you put at number 8? With the uncertainty of the Trey Ford situation, I think I have to put the Eskimos at 8. If you tell me he's healthy, I'm like, maybe they're better than 8. But now there's the uncertainty. And one thing, I'm still not buying into McLeod Bethel Thompson. So until otherwise, I think you have to have the Edmonton Eskimos at 8. How about you?
Yeah, I need to see one more game where they can really power this offense, no matter who's at quarterback, where they can rely on the run. Javon Leake can run all over everybody. Until then, it's harder to put them above any of these other teams. So, yeah, I got them at 8 as well.
All right. Well, then let's see how many we have in common. So 2 for 2 right now. At 7, things get a little tricky at 7. I think you could build a case for about 4 different teams. At 7 right now. Oh man, it pains me to say this in a way. I think it's the Calgary Stampeders, just because they can't win on the road. Like at home, I feel like you could argue they're like the second best team in the league, but until they went on the road, I can't buy in. I'm going to put them at 7, even though I kind of think they're good in a way at home. Like at home, I think like they're like I'm like, that's a loss if you're playing in Calgary, but I think right now at 7, that would be the one. Who do you got at 7?
Yeah, we're seeing eye to eye. Let's see if we can make all 9 of them the same. But yeah, I got Calgary as well. To me, they're very similar to Toronto, where you're not sure what you're going to get. Just Toronto's defense is so much better. Just with Calgary, you just never know what you're going to get. They'll win at home, they'll lose on the road. They gotta win some home games if they want to make the playoffs, or some road games. And I don't know if they can.
Yeah. I mean, the best road performance really that they had was early in the year at BC. They almost won that game. But it seems like as the season's going on, they're getting worse on the road. At number 6, and this is where it gets, I feel like all of these, like, I think that the bottom and the top has been easily figured out, but all through 2 through 8 really is very interesting. What are we at? We at 6 right now. 6. Yep. I have, I have the Blue Bombers, even though I feel like they're coming on of late. You look at a couple of the last performances, it's really encouraging. And I'm sitting there thinking, did we write off this team too early? Especially knowing what's going on around them in the West. But give me the Blue Bombers. Who do you have here?
I have Toronto. I love a team that can rely on good defense and good running. I just don't know if that's consistent in this league, or as far as being able to consistently win. I don't know if they can maintain that. Still question marks at quarterback. I mean, Dukes, Arbuckle, whoever. There's question marks. We don't know if Chad Kelly's coming back or when he's coming back. So for right now, for me, Toronto's at number 6.
Well, that's my number 5. So, I mean, if Kelly's coming back, they like go to number 2, I think. Just like, I mean, I guess you got to wonder what condition he'll be in.
Right.
Guy's been hanging at the bars for the fucking bars in Toronto, the ones he's allowed in. If there's any, he might have to drive to Buffalo just to go to a bar. But yeah, I got the Argos at 5. I still think, I think they're more balanced than Winnipeg. Like Winnipeg has been inconsistent. Like I guess you could say Toronto's been inconsistent, but I still think they've been a better product all year long than Winnipeg, in my opinion. So
I think another challenge Chad Kelly's going to have as well is the last time we saw him play for Toronto, he threw 4 interceptions and kind of blew the playoff game for him. Can he just put that out of his mind and come back onto the field and not think about that? I mean, that's going to be a big mental battle for him.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good point. That's a very good point. So who do you have at, who do you have at what number are you on?
So
5?
I have Winnipeg. So we're just flipped on Toronto and Winnipeg there. I've liked what I've seen. I think their running game with Brady Oliveira is really taking off, and that's helping them maintain success. I don't think they can rely on Zach Claros' arm alone anymore, but they're showing that they can run the ball. So I like that, getting the offensive line grooving better with running the ball. Yeah, this is going to be an interesting game with them against BC, because it feels like a must win for BC, but Winnipeg on the rest, it's a game they can win.
Yeah, and they just whooped their ass recently too. Yeah. So But speaking of BC, that's my number 4. Like I said, there's blood in the water with this team right now. So how long is Vernon Adams out for? Is he out indefinitely? If he is, then this is a great pickup, and Rourke could lead you to the 111th Grey Cup. If he's just dinged up for a week, you want to talk about your leader, who's arguably the best player in the league. Well, it can fuck with you, man. Like, what is it telling the rest of the team? You know, the people that do believe in Vernon Adams. There's concern. I still don't know about the toughness of this team, so I have them at 4. Who do you got at 4?
I also have BC. I liked seeing that Keon Hatcher and Justin McInnes both getting involved and both having some decent games. Now they got to get Alexander Hollins there too. If they could have all 3 of those receivers play to their potential and have them all coexist, this is the best offense in the league, especially if Vernon Adams is healthy. But yeah,
I know the human being and fish can coexist peacefully.
We've podcasted enough together that when I saw you look and start scrolling, I knew that's what was coming. As soon as I said coexist and I saw you look, I was like, oh, here it goes. So,
I hear there's rumors on the internets.
That guy was once our president. You can do anything in life, children. All right. Anyway, and children, if you're listening to this, you're probably wondering about the huge tits parlay. Talk to your parents. But BC's got a lot of question marks. At number 3, I got the Ottawa Redblacks at number 3. They now enter. This is the thing about the grind that is this long season. Each team's like adversity. Well, Montreal's had adversity, but they've just stayed incredible. But I do worry about this trip. You know, Jeremiah Masoli was playing like college football when I was in college. So it's like, I'm 41 years old. So that's a long time ago that he was, you know, how well I mean, encouraged to see how he plays, but it's questionable. They should have lost last week too. And so I think there's a little bit of concern now for Red Black fans like Rod Villagomez. So who do you have there at 3?
Yeah, I actually think Ottawa is a better team than Saskatchewan, but I don't know if they're a better team with Jeremiah Masoli as their quarterback. So I had to put them at 3 as well. We don't know how long he's going to be starting. He's a veteran. He's had some good runs in the CFL, but he can never stay healthy recently. Especially at this age. So yeah, I mean, on one hand, I'm sure he's chomping at the bit to prove he's still got it, right? But on the other hand, he's older. Does he really still got it? I know that I am not at my peak playing position at the age of 37, and Masoli is he's getting older. So it'll be interesting to see how he does. But I got them at 3.
You're not at 37. You have a hard time with a no-turn lawnmower. All right.
I did move over 1,000 pound of rocks by hand this weekend, but I will tell you my back is feeling it. So.
Jesus. I feel like, what is that? Like, is that Cool Hand Luke or something? I feel like one of these movies that's like a chore you have to do in prison. You know what I mean? Like, or like a gun to your head. You just did it on free will.
The wife was the warden.
Yeah. Was your wife kidnapped and they're like, move this? Or, like what on free will, you just said, hey, I'm going to move 1,000 pounds of rocks.
Well, when you redo a rock bed that's very overgrown from the last person that owned it, and you got to dig rocks out and put new rocks in, it's a big job.
Good God. We live on different planets. I don't have a lawn. I'm over here just 1,000 pounds of rocks. That's what the CFL Command Center should have to do right now.
Right.
It should make everyone in the CFL Command Center to just carry 1,000 pound of rocks. At number 2, I have Saskatchewan, but not by much. Well, I will say this. That was the first game where I really actually came away impressed with Shea Patterson. I thought when they needed their drives, he was very precise and he took leadership that I hadn't seen before. Like you could see him being the man. He took command in the huddle. It looked like on the field, not necessarily the huddle, but that's encouraging. I think. I think you could, them in Ottawa. I'm with you. I don't know that I'm sold on Saskatchewan being better than Ottawa, even though they were on the field. Unless, I mean, a couple of bullshit calls, but one gigantic, ridiculous call. So they're at my number 2 spot, but I still think there's a gigantic gap between 1 and 2.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And to your point, Shea Patterson bouncing back after a couple interceptions too. I mean, that's key for a quarterback. Can you erase that and come back and have the composure to win the game, or in this case, tie it, I guess. But yeah, he did do well, even though I've spent this whole year shitting on him. He did do decent. So yeah, they're my number 2 as well.
At number 1, obviously the Alouettes. I don't think there's any question. I think anyone covering the league, if they were not of that opinion, they should work in the CFL Command Center. All right. It's just a big gap, man. Big gap. That defense is by far the best in the league, and Davis Alexander's looking like friggin', Otto Graham back there. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this before we get out of here. Just look at the schedule here. I know the matchups, but I forget what day is which one. Thursday we have Ottawa and Calgary. Friday we have the Alouettes and Rough Riders. Top 2 teams in the league, based on our power rankings. Then you have the Eskimos and the Ticats on Saturday, and the Bombers and the Lions on Sunday. Is it that obvious? The Friday game is the best game, or could Sunday be one that you're saying, hey, best game of the week? What's the one you're looking forward to most?
Yeah, I think Friday is the one I'm looking forward to most. I want to see Saskatchewan has looked good, but how do they stack up against, the best defense in the league? And the same point, Saskatchewan's defense has been pretty decent. So how does Montreal do on the road there? But yeah, that Sunday game is intriguing. With Winnipeg just beating BC 2 weeks ago, 25-0. It'll be interesting to see how BC can respond now, especially with the quarterback controversies that are sure to be pouring in. That'll be an interesting one.
I'm also intrigued by Ottawa at Calgary, because Calgary at home is like, the 72 Dolphins. So, there's a lot there. We're going to talk about it all tomorrow morning. Sorry, the reaction show was a day late. Had a bunch of shit come up in life. We had an earthquake yesterday too. An earthquake that I didn't really feel. All of LA, anywhere you go, you're at the grocery store. Like, did you feel that earthquake? No, not really. Just hanging out. I guess when you're, when you go 4-0 ATS, you're on cloud 9, and cloud 9 floats over fucking earthquakes. But everyone else experienced a big earthquake. I know you told me, even people you work with said that, right?
Yeah. I had some of them checking in on the others because I got several in the LA area. One lady didn't feel it at all. One was scrambling because she really felt it. Another one yelled at their son for running down the hallway, even though it was not him. So yeah, it was mixed results.
Yeah, I'm immune to earthquakes. So, I've been here 20 years. Nothing. Nothing. Bring it on. Bring it on, Mother Nature. All right. I got your CFL Command Center for you right here. All right. All right. Look, we'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, folks, for DFS plays and week 11 picks. Make sure you give JMark a follow on Twitter at JMarkFootball. CFL Gambling Podcast is on Twitter at CFL Gambling Podcast. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Follow. Don't forget YouTube.com, CFL Gambling Podcast. Hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you check out our other work too. JMark hosts the Old Fashioned Football Podcast. All right. He also hosts the UFL Gambling Podcast. Check out both of those. What do you got going on the Old Fashioned Football Podcast this week?
Just finished our positional rankings with tight ends last night, which was a very, I'll call it a very heated episode because there were a lot of disagreements, and Miranda is very passionate about fantasy football tight ends. And then we're doing sleepers, stashes, all that. Also, just want to plug, I've got a NFL futures bet a day on the Sports Gambling Podcast's website article. So go check that out every day. Got a new one coming out.
Well, I don't get brain man cold, but
Get on over there and check it out. SportsGamblingPodcast.com. Also check out the college football experience as the season kicks in 11 days. All right. 134 previews, college football experience. Also check out the Stadium Heads podcast where we talk about the history of the game of football. All right. College football stadiums, they're still around. All these classics. All right. It's not like the NFL that just for any stupid reason in 20 years, it's been 20 years. We should get rid of our stadium. Why? It's perfectly fine. No, let's just get rid of it. And let's make let's make all these taxpayers pay for it. Why? You're aren't you a billionaire? No, I am. Well, I am a billionaire, but we can make this janitor fucking pay for it. So check out the Stadium Heads podcast. I think you'll dig it if you love the history of the game. Also check out the college basketball experience, college baseball experience, the Sports Gambling podcast, all that good stuff. Till next time, folks, this is the CFL Gambling podcast. You better start thinking about yours, and we out of here.
Run and shoot. We can really run and shoot.